credit cards are going to be a thing of the past, because what the Stellar ecosystem also is self-banking. So you're going to be responsible for your own wallet, as opposed to asking the bank for, credit. So you're going to have your own amount of money inside of your wallet, and then you can do whatever you want, because the fees are so low inside of it. It doesn't make sense to keep your money in a bank, because the banks charge a lot of money.
Welcome to the Elite Few podcast, where we explore the fabulous, extraordinary world of the people who move the needle of success. Join our host Tiffany and producer Kyle as we dive into the stories and insights of the elite few who are making a difference and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Let's get started.
Okay, everybody, this is Kyle Goodnight, the producer of the Elite Few podcast, along with my host, Tiffany. Go ahead, Tiffany, introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Tiffany. I'm here in Orlando, and we are with Dominic today. He goes by Dom, and he's going to help us figure out what kind of funding we can do that is not in a normal dollar form. Some amazing options out there today I think you want to know about.
That's great, Tiffany. Yeah, I've been excited to talk to Dom ever since you introduced him to me, and him and I spent a better part of a couple of days getting things switched over from Coinbase over to Lobstr wallet, and he did a little education time frame with me on what this is all going to happen. So,
Good.
Dom,
So
do you
he
want to
helped
introduce
you out.
yourself? Yeah, he did. Yeah. I was on vacation, remember?
Oh,
I'm Dominic, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I do know some things that are coming. So we're going to talk about the quantum financial system today, and what's going to happen in terms of the next years on the financial industry. So that's kind of why I'm here, to talk about blockchain and things that most people don't understand.
I really want to know what motivated you to explore stellar funding in the Lobster world to begin with. What was the thing that kicked you off to be like, okay, we got to look at something else?
Well, I was heavily invested in the stock market. I had my 401k retirements, and I noticed from a financial aspect what was happening in the markets. They would be down, and then they would have a
Mhm.
surge. And with all the problems that we were seeing over the last couple of years with COVID, there really wasn't any definite idea of what was going to happen in the market. So I started looking for other types of investment things. And Bitcoin and Ethereum have been around for a long time, but I wasn't really too keen on that. It was very expensive to get into Bitcoin or Ethereum at the time. When I was looking, it was about 63,000 for a Bitcoin, and it just didn't make financial sense. And Bitcoin would go up and down incredibly. So it was very unstable. There wasn't really any backing to it. I didn't really understand it from a standpoint of somebody that was investing. It wasn't traditional in the sense of going to E-Trade and or having a broker deal with stocks and bonds, etc. So that's sort of how I got
Okay.
into it a couple of years ago.
That's great.
So
So
now,
can you go
okay,
ahead
go ahead.
and tell us what the definition of like a stellar blockchain system is? Like, because I'm still kind of
Mhm.
confused. A lot of our listeners may not know what they know. They've heard of crypto, they've heard of Bitcoin. Of course, they've heard of Bitcoin, but this new term, stellar blockchain, could be something that they're just not familiar with. If you could tell
Well, and
an
that's how
eighth
I found
grader,
Dominic to begin with. That's how I
yeah,
found
Mhm.
him. Is I called a friend of mine who, I don't know, knew stuff about technology, and I said, "Hey, I want to start investing into crypto because I didn't believe in the market anymore. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere." And he said, "I don't know anything." I said, "You don't have any kind of cryptocurrency?" He goes, "No, I do, but it was gifted to me by a friend, so I'm just going to hook you up with him, and he can explain it to you." So here we are.
Okay. Well, I can explain blockchain. for people that don't understand it, it's really data that's on a server, and it's encrypted. It's and when we talk about Stellar, that's a whole ecosystem developed by Elon Musk and Stellar Development Foundation. Um, there's a couple people on there, Jed McCaleb and Joyce Kim, who started off doing this in 2015. So it's been around for several years now, almost a decade, 8 years. Um, and what it is the ecosystem is for everything. It's for payments, it's for fiat currency, it's for real estate. There's commodities traded inside of it. So, what you're seeing and going to see in the future is a tokenization of everything that we have in this world. So, that's um, resources, gold, silver, mining, oil, gas, as I said, real estate, commodities, etc. Everything has to come into this system, and it can be on ramped, which means it comes from the outside of the ecosystem, or it can be off ramped and go back outside. Although that's discouraged because you can do everything inside of Stellar blockchain. So
Okay.
when we talk about Bitcoin or Ethereum, those were separate blockchains. So there was separate servers that actually ran that system. But with Stellar, what it does is it encompasses all blockchains. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, any other blockchains are going to be wrapped into Stellar. So you've got a whole ecosystem that's really encompassing the whole financial system of the world. It's called the quantum financial system, and it's run via AI along with quantum computing. And that's really the whole um, gist of what Stellar is. It's an ecosystem, sort of like it's got its own um, a lot of pathways between all of these different blockchains and companies.
So
So
is this
that's
like a one world dollar? Is that what this is? It's like everybody's gonna be on
um,
the same currency? Then that's the
no,
blockchain or
no,
stellar currency?
no. That's not what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so what it is if we get into a little bit of the terminology, a CBDC is a central bank digital currency. You've probably heard that on the news, and people are worried
Mm.
about it's just going to be the one world order kind of thing where everybody's on the
Mhm.
same coin. But that's not truly what it is. What it is there are several different stable coins. So treasuries from each country have their own stable coin, and they're valued. Initially, they're going to try to do a one-to-one, and the stable coins are based off of whatever precious commodity the government has set up to be backing that particular stable coin. So, for instance, if we go back a ways, when the U.S. dollar was backed by gold, that was our standard. That was our asset that we were backed by. Then we were off of it in the 40s, and we went on to the petrodollar, and then we were taken off the petrodollar. So unfortunately, the U.S. dollar really doesn't have anything backing it. That's why they can print trillions and trillions of dollars, and we're in trillions in debt. So with this system, everything is inside of the system, and it's got a value because the countries have all agreed on whatever their stable coin, their treasury has in terms of their commodity. So it could be Africa, could be diamonds, it could be silver, it could be oil and gas, whatever they have, they can bring it into the ecosystem, and that's backed inside of the Stellar ecosystem. So I hope that makes some sense. Everybody's going to have a different currency. So um, you can go to Africa and use the currency in Africa, and but you can switch whatever currency you want. So, for instance, let's
Okay.
say I live in the U.S. and I want to go to Zimbabwe, for instance, and but I need to have that currency. Well, with I could have U.S. dollars, but then I inside of the Stellar app, which is also there's a wallet called Lobstr, Lobstr, and within that, you can swap between currencies. So you don't have to go to a
Mm.
different travel agent, or bank to get that currency. And because they're integrating with PayPal, they're integrating with Western Union, MoneyGram, etc. You can actually off ramp that currency at your destination if you need that currency. So you could just go to a MoneyGram teller or a bank and your ATM, and you're actually able to get that currency in that
Through
So when
country
I'm in
Lobstr.
if you need it.
Europe,
Yeah.
In
when I'm in
within
Europe, I don't have to pay the exchange fees, pay the currency
correct,
exchange rates. I don't have to do that before I leave or when I get there.
correct,
And then when I'm using my credit card, I'm now no longer using those fees. It's just I'm presenting that Lobstr wallet and paying with it as if I had the
correct,
currency in my hand.
correct. Right.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Credit cards um, are going to be a thing of the past, because what the Stellar ecosystem also is self-banking. So you're going to be responsible for your own wallet, as opposed to asking the bank for credit. So you're going to have your own amount of money inside of your wallet, and then you can do whatever you want, because the fees are so low inside of it. It doesn't make sense to keep your money in a bank, because the banks charge a lot of money interest. You go to an ATM, they charge you $1, right? You're out of your circle, it's $2, $3, $5, whatever it is, as opposed to you have it on you inside of your phone on your app, and you just go ahead and you swap it. And there's QR readers inside of the app, so you could easily pay with a QR code reader. You could It's unbelievable. It's really amazing what they've done. And this is going to be worldwide. So they're already advertising in multiple countries in South America.
So my question here is when you said there's not going to be credit cards, but how are people going to live without credit? Because that doesn't seem like a possibility.
Well, if you think about it, and you have banking that you're doing by yourself, and a lot of these companies are going to be paying a lot more interest than you would get at the bank. So you could theoretically have, let's say, $10,000, but some of these companies are going to be paying anywhere from 9 to 12%, even up to 30% on coins that are inside of your wallet. And because of this, you're going to be able to amass a lot more money than you would ever have done inside of a banking institution, because they don't pay that.
Okay.
They basically take a lot from you. So
Okay.
Gotcha.
we're okay. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Do we think that go ahead.
one thing that I know. Go ahead, Tiff. This is still the same thought process. I'm changing
I
gears if
just want
I
to
ask
find
my
out, like,
question.
what do we think we're going to go with loans and stuff at that point? Because if they're not going to be using the banking institute, people are still going to get mortgages. They're going to still be wanting to get money for things when they're not, like
Hmm.
for cars, loans. Where will that funnel through?
Well, my thought is that banks right now, right? How do they work? They work off of debt, right? So you go in and you ask them for money, and they provide you um, whatever capital that requirements that you
Right.
need. But most banks aren't backed by anything. And if we go to regulations, there are new regulations in effect as of this year, as of January 1st of this year. Basel 3 and Basel 4 were put into place, which says that the banks have to have a certain amount of hard asset or commodity to back all
Oh,
their investments. So if
wow.
they don't have that, they become insolvent. And this is where this is going. So the insolvency, what happens is the FDIC takes over the bank, the Treasury takes over the bank, and
Okay.
it dissolves the bank. So where is all that money going? The money is going to be funneled into Stellar. And this is going to be in the form of charitable balances, as I've shown, I think both of you, the pending transactions
Hmm.
that are inside of the Lobstr wallet, those will be charitable balances. We're going to have a universal basic income as well. I really do believe that. Elon Musk was talking about that 3 or 4 years ago with the Saudis. And when the banking situation kind of comes to a head and the banks become insolvent, because if you've seen with SVB, which was the Silicon Valley Bank, there's a number of banks that have been failing. and there's only so many things you can do. So as as people that go to banks every day, you and I and most people in this country, what it is you give them your money that you've made, and then they actually they own your money. Okay, so you don't really have they're basically a they monitor your money and they give you what they want to give you. Okay, even though you
Yeah.
might think that you can get everything, right? So what's going to happen, I really do believe, is that when the banks collapse, the top tier um, creditors get the money, and everybody down at the bottom can wait or not get paid. So let's say you
Okay.
have $50,000 in the bank, but there's a bank has creditors that have multi-million dollars. They're going to get paid first, and then it goes down the level until you might get paid. But there's going to be a large pool of those people. So I think what we're seeing is when these banks fail, there's only so much money that they're going to be able to dissolve, and then the Fed is going to
Okay.
be
So does
pushing
that
everything
mean the
into the
money we
treasury.
have in the account right now, like our actual cash, if we got 10 grand in the bank, they're going to turn that over to Stellar, but it'll be still worth 10 grand, or will that change?
Yes. What I believe is going to happen is they've put in place. Okay. Going back to what the quantum financial system is that um, there is a backstop in place when these banks fail, because they have to be asset backed. All quantum um, level banks who are running in the background, they've been doing this since October of last year, have to have a three different things. They have to have an asset. They have to have XRP, which is a blockchain asset, which is ISO 20022 compliant, or XLM, which is the Stellar ISO 20022 compliant blockchain token. Okay, so what we have is anybody who has money in the bank is going to have the equal amount of money that they have in either XRP or XLM. They've already done this. Okay, it's already
But the
sitting there.
XLM
And
right now is only like 9 cents or 12 cents a
correct,
piece.
correct. But let's say you have $10,000 in the bank, right? It's actually
Right.
13 cents. It went up. Um,
Oh, yes.
so you're going to have that number of XRP. But remember, that metals and things have not revaluated yet, because we're looking at gold and precious metals to be revaluated during this time. They have to
Good.
revaluate. So
Yeah.
based on percentages, I'm not sure what the percentages are. XLM and XRP are backed by silver and gold, respectively. Those things will actually increase in value because they're a percentage of what gold and silver are on the market. And so if you've got so the banks will offer you your money in a Stellar wallet. So you won't even have to create a new wallet. We're sort of before everything is going to happen. You'll be able to get a wallet, and it may be a lot easier to use than what we're doing now. It may be very, very easy to use. Um,
Right.
I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like, because they're still beta testing a couple of things, etc. So that's
So that kind of
that's what
leads
I
me
know.
to the next line of questions. I remember you and I talking
Hmm.
and Tiffany talking a few weeks ago about this in our pre-show. Is that this is kind of like we're going to have to teach our generation a new
Mhm.
way. Like the younger generation gets it. We're and our
Hmm.
generation is, we grew up in the 70s and 80s. That
Yeah.
way I'm not telling our age, but so we're all about the same
Yeah.
from what we figured out
Right.
before.
Right. Yeah.
We're talking about us who are,
I'm
our,
37.
yeah, yeah, our kids are graduated or just now leaving the
Right.
house, and we're just now
Right.
becoming empty nesters, and people can do the math. But when it comes to us and people older than us, 10 or 15, 20 years older than us,
Hmm.
it's like having to teach us how to send email. Like we used to have,
Correct.
like our generation had to teach our
Hmm.
parents what email was. So, I mean, that's
Right.
just to put it lightly, right? So, can you expand on the older generation? And I don't want to say older because I'm including us in that, but like this generation that we are, which we're only half a century old. So, it's one of those things where where what are we going to need to do to prepare ourselves and to prepare our, our existing people that are older than us, that my parents that are still alive and stuff like that. People that are parents are still alive.
Well,
Great
I
question.
think I think that they're going to make it as easy as possible because remember, there's what 8 billion people in the world, and a lot of
Right.
people don't have bank accounts. Three-quarters of the
Hmm.
population don't have bank accounts. It's a huge amount of people that are unbanked. So
Wow.
how do they?
Crazy.
How do they? Oh, it's a large part of people in Africa and other countries. They don't have access. They might have a phone, but they don't necessarily have a bank, right?
Okay.
And they don't
Oh,
understand financial things as well, right? Because
okay.
we're not just talking about the U.S. We're talking about other third world countries.
Third world
Um,
countries. Yeah.
yes, where
Hmm.
it's difficult to get whatever you need, right? Um, so getting back to your point is everybody sort of knows how to use a cell phone, right? An iPhone or an Android phone now, right? I
Mhm.
taught my aunt who's almost 80 how to use Lobstr. It took me a little time. It takes a little bit of time to understand what's going on, but it's like any technology. Once you get a basic gist of what the app does, then you can make those decisions based on, you can make it very very simple or you can make it very complicated. It depends on what your level is. Like if you're 80 to 85 years old, you're not necessarily looking at high risk investments, etc., but maybe you just need to swap something out to get into, to go down to Mexico or to go down to South America. You want to go visit some family, or you want somebody to send you something, some money inside of your wallet. You can do that. So if you have a family member that lives in Europe and you need some money here, you're elderly and you need some money, they can actually send it. It takes about 30 seconds for them to send you money within your wallet, and it pops up in your wallet and it's done. And then you can take it out to a MoneyGram and you can go there and get cash if you need it. And it's as simple as showing an ID and um, and the QR code. And I think Tiff has
Is
done that.
MoneyGram going to get any easier or
I think that
more?
I think what you're going to see is more of a push. MoneyGram will probably be second tier to Western Union. I think you're going to
So
Okay.
I
see
mean,
Okay.
a
I mean,
huge.
we do that right now with with Coinbase, not Coinbase, with
Mhm.
what are some of the money sending apps right now? Apple Wallet,
Venmo, PayPal,
Venmo,
PayPal.
PayPal. Like,
Mhm.
is that like the beginning parts
Cash
of it,
App.
and they're just going to expand on it?
Yes, they
Okay.
are actually invested, and I've done initial coin offerings inside of Stellar where they're bringing Apple Pay, Venmo, PayPal, all these different companies into the Stellar ecosystem. So you're going to be able to on ramp and off ramp your money however you choose. The
Well, I
thing
think we
is that
read that most
okay,
of the companies have moved over. It looked like their stocks were falling, but in reality, they were moving the cash into the
uh,
stellar market and
correct.
taking it out of the stock market.
Yes, they're it's sort of sleight of hand at this moment. They're not trying to worry the markets too much, but there have been articles. BlackRock, they're the largest investment firm in the
Mhm.
world. They had, I think, 16 trillion or maybe more under management, and they were tokenizing 1,000 funds. So, um, so if you think about how long it takes to tokenize all these things, and what we have been doing, Tiff and I have been involved in some ICO
Mhm.
group funding, etc. What they have in the background is there's a company called Deloitte, and they are one of the tax auditors, huge company, and they
Yeah,
have a
Deloitte and
quantum
Touche, is
system.
that the one? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
They have a quantum computer called Atom, Atom, and what they're
Hmm.
doing is they're building all of these indices in the background via artificial intelligence, machine learning.
Wow.
So you've got quantum computing and this AI that's being able to build out this huge infrastructure, and they have to test it, of course. And there's governance over the artificial intelligence as well. So in that, you've got fail safes. And getting back to your point about um, elderly or people with learning disabilities or younger people that don't understand the technology, I really do believe there's going to be biometrics involved in this. So like right now, when you go and you want to purchase some crypto on one of these exchanges, you have your ID. You have to show it in a picture. You put the picture right up next to your face, and it takes a picture and a snapshot. That's called KYC, which is know your client. Okay, and there's another aspect to that called AML, called anti-money laundering. So what they're doing is they're going to use your identification and your biometrics, which is your palm print, or facial recognition, to actually make it very, very secure. And remember, we're talking about quantum encryption, which is unbreakable at
Mm,
this point. So you're going to be able to,
okay.
so they're solving the problem of transparency, where the money is going, of all these trillions of dollars, right? Where some guy's got $10 million in his basement somewhere, or we're sending billions of dollars somewhere. So we're able to look at that. But for the older people, they're just able to use the app very quickly, and I think that's going to be coming out in the future. There'll be a couple of different wallets. Lobster's just a wallet. It's a reflection of what's on the blockchain. It's not stored in your phone. So we'll have some other
Well,
applications that
Okay.
will be a little bit easier.
yeah, that leads to another
Mhm.
question to me that's kind of pending in my brain is right now,
Okay.
Chase, Morgan Chase and all these different big banking companies, they make their money off of the interest that people are using for, like, as Tiffany talked about earlier, credit. So
Mhm.
if this
Mhm.
happens, somebody's got to be making some money somewhere. And how does the money get made for
Yeah.
these guys not to throw up big, huge roadblocks to not let it happen?
Well, I think what you're seeing in the news now, in the mainstream news, is that they're in trouble with a lot of things. There's been the Epstein case, where a lot of the J.P. Morgan managers were involved with trafficking, etc. And I think
Wow.
the executive orders um, that came through when Trump was in office, a lot of them were about the seizure of assets pertaining to trafficking, human trafficking. He was big on that for 4 years. So I really
Yeah.
do believe that there's a lot of this is due to the executive orders that were put into place about money laundering, drugs, etc. And companies that were involved in that get their assets seized. And I think there's going to be, and this is why I think there's going to be a distribution of those funds, and they have to make it available to everybody as a charitable balance inside of Stellar. So that's where I believe that money is going to go. And I think you're going to see the dissolution of these larger entities, these larger banks. And they might be there for wealth management to help people with the wealth that's coming into Stellar. But I don't think we're going to see them for very long, maybe another 4 or 5 years at the most. But I think there's going to be this self-banking that's really going to be happening. So
Hmm,
Oh.
um, so
interesting.
right, because how
Yeah.
much money
Yeah.
have they? How much money have they made on the stock? And everything is manipulated, right? The stocks are manipulated. We don't really have any sense of what they've been doing, how much money has been laundered through the stock market, etc. But if you think about the executive orders, all of that stuff had to be looked at. And I think a lot of these companies, if you've seen the CEOs over the last 4 or 5 years, there's so many CEOs have stepped down or have been replaced in these large companies. And I'm not saying every company is going to go under, or every bank is going to go away, but they're going to be restructured into to more of a less profit driven and more of a wealth management situation. So that's my belief, at least.
Okay. Kyle,
Wow,
do you have something before I go?
that's a lot to
Yeah,
So
Well,
right
and
now, I
here's
know.
my thought process,
Yeah,
because
go for it.
people right now, we have life insurance funds, we have
mhm,
annuities, we've got the mutual funds, which we talked about earlier this week, that those are going to be changed over.
mhm.
But we also have tons of investments that people are doing. And where does that leave Bitcoin, and which is projecting to go higher and higher? Where's that going to leave them? Somebody has 20 million in Bitcoin, are they going to have nothing, or is it going to switch over? Because aren't they already trying to switch over right now to the Lobster
Yeah,
wallet?
Yeah, so there's going to be a rollover of assets. Remember, I said everything is going to be tokenized. That means all of your money market accounts, all of these different annuities, life insurance policies, et cetera, are all going to go into the Stellar wallet, Bitcoin and
Okay.
Ethereum, because what I believe is going to happen is they are those things don't run well on internet that's less than 50 or 60% running the world internet. If it drops below, I think 50%, what happens is the Bitcoin servers, everything goes down and it doesn't come back. So what they're trying to do in relation to this is, you've heard of Space Force, right? Which is the military
Hmm.
side of what Trump had put into place. And then there's SpaceX, which is Elon Musk. He's the largest military contractor in the U.S. Okay, and there's his company Starlink, which is the satellite technology. So what they've done is they've put all these satellites up, and what they're going to do is they're going to be able to um, beam down transmission that is 8,500 times as fast as what we're using now for internet, because it's all quantum. Okay,
Wow.
it's going to be insanely fast. And
So
what
it just
what
Wow.
this
blows 5G out of the water. Is that what you're saying?
Right, right. So it's going to be direct connect. But what they're also doing is they're also allowing people with older devices. They're using a company called Red Hat. They make Linux, which is an operating system. And they're
Hmm.
actually
Hmm.
able to bridge a lot of these older devices and update them through software so that they can actually be quantum compliant, which is pretty amazing. It's kind of unbelievable what they can do with this new tech, with these technologies, and what they've been planning for a long time. So
Okay.
you've got all these different elements being put in, but if Bitcoin and Ethereum, if they decide to stop using fiber optic cables in the ground and use this new side, well, they can't survive. So they have to roll things into Stellar. There'll be wrapped tokens, what they call a wrapped token, which is sort of like running like a Windows machine on a Mac. It's sort of
Mm.
wrapped into the software, and you can run that operating system. It's really not meant to be there, but they can do that. So that's what's going to happen. But I think the other thing they've been doing is they've been hacking a lot of Bitcoin stuff, and they've been testing a lot of
Wow.
these things. And there's a lot of bad things that went on with Bitcoin. A lot of people, there was a lot of dark money in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
not backed by anything. So you don't have an asset backed uh, blockchain. So, and
Yeah.
that's the difference when you're inside of the Stellar ecosystem. It's backed by the main, and I guess I should get into this. The main um, blockchain asset or Lumen is called XLM, and it's backed by silver. So anytime you're inside of the Stellar ecosystem, you're using a commodity that is available. And so that's how they've arranged this. And once you're inside of it, it's sort of like going to the casino. You get your chips, and then you can play. You can go to the restaurant. You can play different card tables or whatever you want to do in there,
Okay.
or go stay at the hotel. Uh, and you've got these chips, and they're usable anywhere. And then you can trade in between all the different things that you want to buy. You can buy stocks, bonds, real estate, etc. So within this ecosystem, which is very large, it's encompassing everything, you're able to utilize all this. So
So what are you looking at for like time frame? Are we are we sitting here just now introducing ourselves to the Lobster wallet? Are we too late? Or I mean, what does
no,
6 months from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now look like for any of us?
well, from my research and kind of
Hypothetically. Yeah.
trying to
we're
Yeah.
we're
trying to
not we're
figure
not
out
This is
hanging our
all
hat on. Yeah.
hypothetical. Yes.
what's going on. I've been waiting 3 years for this to happen.
Okay.
So when I first got into it, I thought, oh, it's going to happen right away. But I realized after many looking at many different podcasts and doing research on my own and kind of figuring out what I was thinking one coin was going to be better than another, and then it sort of recently it's just kind of come down to, well, it's so huge. How do you do that? I mean, think about it. It's the whole world, right? I mean, it's all the banks. So they have to get everybody compliant. All the banks have to be compliant. And the ones that aren't, they're out the door. You have to get all the countries behind it. So the countries that aren't compliant with this, that don't want to do this, they're not in the ecosystem. So how do they do trade? Right? So you have to get agreement from everyone to do this financial, and then you have to do all the background, all the programming of this. So it takes a long time to do this. And then you have to have agreements in place. You have to find people that are scamming, right? You have to set up
Mm.
sting operations inside of it. You have to do beta testing on, because there's artificial intelligence, right? So
Right.
artificial intelligence has to learn what is wrong and what is right. And they have to govern that. So there's a lot of different committees, et cetera, doing that. So
Right.
to answer your question, I really do believe that there's a couple protocols that are finishing up here, and one is called SEP 40, which stands for Software Engineer Protocol inside of Stellar. And what that does is it says uh, once we get all this stuff finalized, it's good to go. So I really believe by the end of the year, if not the first quarter of next year, we're going to see a lot more liquidity inside of Stellar. And then probably by the end of next year, we'll be in full tilt on it. And then
Wow.
from there, I really do believe that's what's going to happen, because at the rate we're going with inflation and the way the world is kind of structured, I think that it has to there has to be a change in what we're doing.
Right.
So
So, I mean, who's leading the charge on this? Is America leading the charge on this? Is, the North
it's
American market, Elon Musk? I mean, what is
I
Germany doing? What is Britain doing? Like, are these China? What are these other bigger companies that have their
I
own
okay.
systems? Who's
Yeah.
leading the charge?
Well, I think it's a multinational um, uh, agreements. We've got the Saudis, we've got South Africa, we've got China. If you heard of BRICS, it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, most populated areas. A lot of countries have come on. I think about 40 countries have come on. They're utilizing their commodities to actually further the development of their countries, because they don't want to stay on the US petrodollar because it's worthless to them. So they're basically lowering the dollar's relevance in the world. So I think we're seeing Russia, we're seeing China, we're seeing these
Mm.
different countries, but and everybody's going to get worried about that. But really, it's governments that do the bad things. The people really don't do. We just want to live our
Yeah.
lives and have our you know our car and our house and family, etc. It's really the governments that have been involved in a lot of this business of war, etc. And I think we're looking at replacing these things with a multinational uh, uh, worldview, as opposed to and keeping sovereignty in the countries. So if you have a a stable coin in your country, you can use that, and it can be based off the commodity that you have the most of. So if you have diamonds or if you have oil, those things, you might not have gold mines. You might not have like other things that other countries have, but you can still participate in the world market and you can still be relevant, as opposed to, oh, they don't have anything. And, we're just going to not really worry about them. We're going to devalue their money. Like Zimbabwe has $100 trillion note. I have one of them. And how do you rectify that? They're one of the richest raw mineral suppliers in the world. They have so many natural resources. So why aren't they the richest? Why can't we trade on that?
Mhm.
Because it's been devalued. So if they can get back to and rebuild the country with kind of a level playing field, and that's what Stellar is going to be able to do um, through the use of this AI and just the framework that they've put into it. So.
Tiffany, you have
I
any
know
other
it's kind of
questions?
it's a lot, but it's pretty amazing.
Well, I've I've already put several thousand into it, and I think we talked about it before. My goal is 10 grand. And
Mhm.
what is your outlook on that? If you're putting 10 grand into that now, even if everything rose to $1, what are we looking at?
Well, um, well, so you don't have to put that much in. for one
Because I
thing.
don't even have, I mean, like basically we're not just looking at XLM. Like you said, we have all of the QSI fundings that we're doing and
Right.
all of the, the QSI GF things. We've got a lot of that. And those are going up exponentially depending on what that funding is.
Yes.
So how much do you think you need to put into it?
Well, it could be as little as, you know, $30. It could be as little as $1. Okay, let me just explain what it is. Okay, so XLM the is the lumen, right? So it's the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
But to get into actually buying a stock, so we've been buying stocks and certain commodities, etc., at very low prices. So think of buying Bitcoin at $10 and it's 63,000, right? So you're looking at that. So there's two separate things. If XLM goes up, you get whatever the value is. So if it goes from
Yeah.
12 cents to, let's say, $12, you've made a huge increase in your money. That's just one thing. So now if you had bought, let's say, 500,000 tokens of something that was valued very, very low, and you spent one XLM, which was 12 cents, or maybe more, whatever, because you can get these things at rock bottom prices right now because you're in
Right.
early, right? Then you get that amount. So when it's traded, when the liquidity comes in, maybe that goes up from 0.000001 X of an XLM to one XLM. So now you've got the
So this is
value
kind
of
of
that.
like the turn of the century, right? I don't mean to interrupt, but this is like
Correct.
when Bitcoin was 5 cents.
Correct. It's even bigger than that. Okay. It's even
Oh,
bigger than that because Bitcoin is just one thing.
okay. Maybe I want to put
You
10,000 into it then.
well, well, how much do you need? I mean, at some point, how much do you need, right? Like,
I
so
mean,
we've bought Apple, right? I mean,
I don't know what
some
that
people need a
means. You
lot.
mean,
I mean, how much do you need? I mean, I look at, there's also other
I
technologies that
spend
are
a
going to
little
be
bit of
coming out.
money. Yeah, I
I
spend some
know,
money.
but it's nice. But I mean, if you have more money than you could ever spend in your life, what would you do to better
Oh,
yourself and humanity,
I'd
etc.?
open
So,
up
sir.
group homes and halfway houses and orphanages, and I just take in a bunch of babies and, you know,
Well, getting back to that whole thing, so if XLM goes up, right, it's going to be revalued, and then you've got something that you've bought, 500,000 shares in, or even 1,000 shares, right? Um, then that's going to go up, and then if you get into one of these particular funds, like the Elon Stellar stuff, which I
mhm.
mentioned to you, Kyle, and you've bought into, there's a percentage. You hold on to that, and you get a percentage on top of that. So if you hold those coins, you get paid every day. It's an APY, not an APR. An APR is paid on a yearly basis. An APY is a yearly um, income, but it's paid every day. So you're making money
Oh.
every day as opposed to that. So now you've got three different things that are making you money: the value of the XLM, the value of whatever your stock is trading at, and then you've got these investments that can actually do increased interest, and you're making money every day. And so that's what I call self banking. So you've got three
Gotcha.
different tiers of things. So
Interesting. Now,
that's
when
So,
you
I
talk,
want to hit, oh, go ahead, Kyle.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I want to hit base
We both
on
have so many
something.
questions. So
There's so many questions, and I'm totally gonna let you take off with that. We brought this up before, but I really want to touch base with it because I feel like, back in 2000 and in 99, Trump had really discussed in depth on financials, and him and Robert Kiyosaki talked very, very, very highly of the
mhm,
fact that the markets are going to crash. This is this time. This is
mhm,
this time in history. They said in the future at this time it's going to crash, and if you're not rich, you're going to be poor. You got to make sure that you're steady. Get yourselves together. It was a big. These books were warnings. I mean, I read
mhm,
them all. But even a couple years ago, he was talking about the stock market crash in 2023. We're here right now. We don't have much time left. I mean, I've talked to so many financial advisors. I have one and I've talked to many others.
mhm.
They all tell me the same thing. It's never going to happen. The world can't live without American money. We will never crash.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I don't know. It seems like only the U.S. Financial advisors and what you see on mainstream and what you talk when you talk to these different advisors, they're not living in another country. They're just living in the States. So how do the other countries survive? And why is Russia doing so well? Well, they changed over from their gross national products gone up. I don't know how many percent. It's absolutely enormous. And they've changed. They've gone off the U.S. dollar. They don't do sanctions. They're on their own gold standard, and they're part of the BRICS thing. So I don't believe any of that
Mm.
stuff for a minute, because it's out there in the public eye. They're just not seeing that. They're not looking at that. Um, I do believe that we're going to have a serious market crash because inflation is really high. I think a lot of
But that
things
means our
are
mutual funds will be in danger. Even though they'll be rolled over, they'll still be worth very little.
could be. I'm not sure
Okay.
where they're going to actually take the where they're actually going to make that break point. I don't know where that for sure where it's going to be, where it's not. But what I do know is that I really do believe that there's going to be a backstop, and there will be some universal basic income for people that can't do it right. We've been hearing a lot on the news that one of the things that the Trump has been saying is that he wants to clean up the streets and get people off the streets, etc.
Mhm.
And how do you do that? Well, you need some type of basic income. So I think, and that's not welfare. It's more of a paid out kind of thing. And if you have your own phone and you can deal with your own money on your phone, and there's no and it's all transparent on the ledger, you can see everything. That's the other thing I want to say. You can see everything on the ledger. Anybody can look at anybody else's wallet. It's all anonymous. It's a 24-digit code. But if you know who that person is, you can look at every transaction. You can look at every transaction that was ever created on the Stellar ecosystem, and anything
Wow.
that was brought in. So they're able to look at all these different things. So if there's something nefarious going on, like somebody is running some type of drug smuggling or whatever, they can automatically just get it right then and there. It's the
Oh
AI
wow.
will find it, and they will be picked up by the feds or whoever, and put in jail because of that. And all the other thing is, let's say we have scammers, right, that try to scam you out of
Mhm.
money. They can go in and claw back all of that money that was stolen. Okay, because where is it going to go? It's not going to go into cash or anything like that, right? They're going to try to take it out. They're going to have a wallet. It's going to be clawed back, and it's going to be given back to the respective people that were scammed out of it. So
Wow.
that is an amazing thing. So you're getting rid of theft, you're getting rid of fraud, you're getting rid of drug smuggling, you're getting rid of all these bad practices, and so people can actually you know live a life not worried about these things. And I think money in general will be less of a factor in the future, because we're all able to do the things that we want to do and not have to worry about, I owe the bank X amount every month, and I got to worry about my mortgage. Because what happens when the banks go under? Where are your mortgages? where
Right.
where the mortgages
Yeah.
go? They're
Right.
they're
Yeah.
non-existent, right? So
Right.
you own your own place, and now you can bank off your phone and make interest on your own on these companies that want to do and are supervised, um, to do these things and to make the world better. So that's what I really do believe is going to happen.
So when it comes to
Uh,
you've mentioned the wallets and the Lobster, and what
Mm,
what kind of wallets are out there right now that people can look into or read more about, or
okay.
start researching? I know you're pretty high on the Lobster wallet because
Mm,
it doesn't have many restrictions. I mean, I had Coinbase. Was that one of the wallets? But the fees were astronomical. So what do you have when it
yeah.
comes to like wallets that people can look into right now if they're
Uh,
looking into
there's
this?
one. There's one called Lumendex, Lumendex, and it's .online. Okay, that's one. It's a very limited one, but it is one that's very good. It looks actually at the original Horizon servers that Stellar uses, which is different than anybody else. They have different. What they call a decentralized exchange, like a stock market exchange that you look at the stocks. It's the same type of thing, but it's every asset. And then there's Stellar Term. Stellar Term is Elon Musk's wallet. And then there's Scopely, which is another one, Scopoly. There's Astro Wallets coming out. There's a number of different formats that are coming out. I just have been using the Lobstr wallet for a long time. Feels like forever now, but so I'm very familiar with it, and I kind of have some workarounds as they're doing a little bit more of this beta testing, and they're moving things in and out of that wallet in terms of the way it performs. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
because I just didn't know what people, if people have Coinbase or have what other mainstream wallets for Bitcoin and Ethereum back, and then this is a different aspect. It's they have to get new wallets, but then you and I figured out a way to transfer all of my Coinbase stuff over to
Mm.
Lobstr and XLM, and that was kind of cool. That was actually pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing is, if you keep your money on exchange, um, you may lose your money, because if the exchange goes down, there's been a lot of exchanges that have gone down, and there's no way to get your money back. So be aware of that. I would, if you have it on an exchange like Bittrex went down, um, Binance was having problems. What they'll do is they'll stop your access to your crypto. So I would put it into either a hard wallet or into what they call a soft wallet, which may be off the exchange. Coinbase has their own wallet, which I think has been okayed, but I still am hesitant. I don't want anybody having control over my own personal stuff. I want to have my own wallet, and Lobstr is not only a wallet, but it's also got a built-in exchange in it. But it's it's a little bit different than what because it's in the Stellar ecosystem. It's not outside of the Stellar ecosystem. I feel more confident with that. So
Gotcha. Okay.
a little bit different. Yeah.
Kyle, any more questions?
I don't have any more. I mean, I
Okay.
do, but I don't. I mean, I think I need to let all this stuff sit in. We're real close to the end here, and our listeners have a lot to go research or to.
Yeah.
I mean, like you mentioned earlier, you're not a
This is a lot of
financial
information.
advisor. You're not looking for
Mhm.
for a database of people
Clients.
to work
Nope.
with or clients. It's kind of word of mouth and friends of friends right now, and there's no benefit to you for Tiffany turning you and myself onto one another to learn this stuff. So
Mm-mm.
it's like, I mean, you're just doing this out. That's the one thing about the fabulous, extraordinary world that this podcast is all about, is you're just a regular old guy just wanting to help
Mhm.
people and share the knowledge that you know
Let's
to,
not
to
throw
help
that
others.
old word out too quote.
Yeah, I was
too
about to
quickly.
say that. You said
Yeah.
old guy. I am.
Did I
no.
really?
Yeah.
I can bleep that
Yeah.
out. I'll bleep that out.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the reasons why I'm even on here is that I really do believe in humanitarianism and trying to give back to community, et cetera. And any way I can help with just even basic things like how you actually can get into this. I would recommend to people to go to the Quantum Stellar Initiative, or quantum QSIresources.com. You can find them online, and they have a great um, explanation of everything and how to get into the wallets, etc. And I
Yeah.
learned a lot from them, and that's something on Telegram as well. So
Okay. Well,
get
here's
involved
my
with that.
next question, and this may be where we end up, and you can talk for 2 or 3 minutes on this, and then we can wrap things up.
Okay.
But let's say someone has their own financial advisor who's not privy to this information yet. Like, what would you tell that person who would maybe take this information to their financial advisor and say, "Hey,
hmm
how do I get into this?" And then their financial advisor saying, "I don't. No, you need to do it the old-fashioned way." Like what would you say to someone that only knows the old way? Who do they go and look for with this new mentality, this new thought process, this new outside of the box, if you will, financial model that would help them, and learn more and go through the process better than their ancient uh, financial advisor?
Well, that's a good question. I think that going to a financial advisor that isn't open to crypto, doesn't understand anything about it, is very difficult because they're not plugged
Yeah.
into what's going on really in this new age of things. It's sort of like, um, the guy that had a typewriter a long time ago, and the word processor came out, and you know, what's this? That sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yep.
If we're going back to the old guy thing, I remember those days. But
Now, you
We
said
all
it this
do.
time.
but but
Lots of
it
people were
doesn't.
not fond of the word
You,
processors, but they were amazing.
I think the misnomer is that you have to spend a lot to get something out of this, and you really don't. Somebody that earns paycheck to paycheck can get into this. The Lobstr wallet is free. Getting into the system is as low as whatever you want to put into it. It takes one XLM to activate the wallet. An XLM is 13 cents. So if you have 13 cents right now, as of
Well, I just
July.
looked at it. It's 12.9. So
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
yeah,
So
it's 12.901. So
yes.
you got a little ways
So
to
Thank
get
you,
up to
Kyle.
13 now.
so think about this. If you put in $10, right? So
Right.
I'm not going to think about the math on that one, but a little less than what is that? 100 XLM. You're going to get you can buy an asset for basically any percentage that you want. So you could get 1,000 of something if it's priced very low, or you could get one of something. Let's say Apple is a one token deal, right? One XLM
Right.
per one share. You could still have a share of Apple, or you could still have a share of JP Morgan, or you could still have a share of any of these huge company, BlackRock,
Tesla,
Vanguard,
right?
Tesla. I bought Tesla, SpaceX, X Corp.
I
All
have
these
that
different
too.
things
Yep.
are so all these different things are available, and they're so cheap right now. It doesn't take much to get into it. $10 or even $1, you could buy a lot of something that maybe necessarily isn't something that you would normally do. But I would say go to the QSI forums and really check it out. Excuse me.
All right. All right. Well, wow, that was a very fast hour, guys. That was
It was really fast, but
I
there's
was
so
like
much
on the I mean,
information.
yeah, it's a lot of information. And well, I'm sure we're going to have Dominic on again as this progresses
Yes.
through. When it starts hitting mainstream, and things, and the mainstream media hits it. The good thing about our podcast, when we get more and more listeners, if anybody's out there in the world listening to this right now, make sure you tell your friends. If you have somebody that's interested in this concept, or if you want somebody to tune in, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and let everybody know about our podcast, which is all about people like Dominic who are making things change in the world of success for, one, for Tiffany, two, for me. I know already the stuff I put in and transferred over is already it's already grown, so I know that this stuff is going to work. When I put my stuff in last month, it was 8 cents. So I'm already,
Mhm.
it was only
It was
8,
9, yeah.
and I'm sure
Mine
I
was 9.
know it fluctuates. We get that, but this
Mhm.
isn't that quick turnaround thing. This is that, where do we put our money to let things grow and diversify over time? I think that's another
Mhm.
thing that
This is really to look forward ahead
yeah,
for a
yeah,
crash, or
and
understanding that the market's
diversify.
going to shift. Yeah, this is
Right.
Yeah,
diversifying funds. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Tiffany, want
Well,
to take it out?
Yeah. Yes, I can absolutely take it.
Of course you do.
Um,
You're the host and the star of the
Dominic,
show.
it's my show. No, so yeah, the whole point of this is the people I run into that are just extremely fabulous, extraordinary. They're changing the way the world's working, or they know about how that's happening. I feel like this kind of information really needs to reach the public on a much broader scale, because I can't run around the city and yell at 20,000 people and say, guess what,
Mhm.
guys, you should consider this. And I really think that we covered a lot. I know there's like so much more to cover. But if somebody wants to get their Lobstr wallet, I think the thing that we want to let them know is go to the Apple Store, look for the Lobstr icon, which I can
Mhm.
show you what that looks like right now, right, guys?
Yes, it's
I think we
available
can do.
on Android as well, on Google, on the Google Store.
Oh, Android, Google. I'm not doing it apparently. Hold
There it
on.
is.
There it is.
Mhm.
Looks like a little claw, has the
Mhm.
Tiffany blue on it, matches my
Mhm.
dress.
Mhm. There you go.
It's great. You click on it.
Mhm.
It's a new good sign. Then you log in, and I believe we went through the steps when you and I were on the phone. There are several
Yes.
codes and stuff, and letters, numbers, things are going to give you.
Yeah.
You've really got to save those, because it's your only way
Mhm.
to recover that
Yeah.
wallet. There is
Yes.
not a
Yes.
person to call, a
You're right.
system to go through. You need to save those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
your wallet. It's your combination to your work. That's it. Nobody else has it. It's not even Stellar. Okay. You have
Yeah.
to remember all this stuff. And that's why I think biometrics are going to be so important, because
Yeah.
then it won't be any more than a thumbprint. So,
Right.
Well, and you
Face
can't kick,
recognition.
scream, call, yell. This isn't like last century where you could make headway by making sure people know what's going on. No, no, no. You have to keep track of it. You have to have your codes, your numbers, your information, or you're not going to be able to access it. But we'll circle back again. And thank
Great.
you, Dominic, for
well, thank
being
you.
one of the most amazing, fabulous people that can help us change the world and give people some knowledge and information to be extraordinary. So thank you for your time and all of the time you've given us
You're
over
welcome.
the last several
You're
months.
welcome.
So grateful. So grateful.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I wish all you well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it for this episode of The Elite Few, where few represents fabulous, extraordinary world and the everyday people making a difference in the lives of others to help them achieve success. A big shout out to our host, Tiffany Feeney, and our expert guest, Dom Pescie, for sharing his valuable insights on crypto wallets, blockchains, XLM Stellar Lumens, and the future of banking. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and share our podcast. Your support keeps us going strong. From all of us here at Elite Few, I'm Kyle Goodnight. We appreciate you and can't wait to catch you on the next episode.